Man, I love aviation. Since I was a child, completely fascinated. I've been completely fascinated by anything relating to flight. I've built models, I've flown airplanes, flown in airplanes, went to air shows, and whatever you can think of that flies has always tripped my trigger, no pun intended. How does that relate to this? I want to talk about commercial aviation, commercial airlines. And I want to talk to you about why it should be part of your training. And you're like, wait a second, what the heck does a big jumbo jet have to do with my firearms training? Well, it should have everything to do with it. Hear me out. How many of you, by a show of hands, some of you guys are like, I'm by myself, raising your hand in your house or apartment. How many of you, by a show of hands, I know you want to do it, have been on a commercial airline, gone on vacation, jumped on a plane for work, etc.? How many of you, by a show of hands, have done that? Or know somebody that has? Everybody, right? We all have. How many of you have been on a commercial airline and crashed? Probably mostly none of you. And if you did, you're probably not here to tell the tale. The odds are most of us are super safe in a jumbo jet flying around. Why is that? How is it possible that we can get in a big metal tube, shuffle in there like we do these days, sit down, put your headphones on your little neck pillow, take off to the edge of space at almost the speed of sound, fly along for a ways, watch a movie or two, and then safely land and go about your business? How is that possible that we do that with so many millions of passengers every year and we do it so safely? And how can we apply that level of safety to this, that level of reliability to this? Well, let's talk about it. In aviation, how many of you get on an airplane and sit there and go, I really hope I have a crappy pilot? Or think to yourself, I really hope the worst mechanic in the world fixed my airplane. Nobody. You guys want the best pilot, the best mechanic, right? You want the person that's studious and knows what's up, working on the airplane, checking it out, flying it, right? So should you be approaching your firearm training with that same level of care and excellence. But let's go deeper. Why is it? How is it that so many planes take off on the daily and we don't have crash after crash after crash? Why are nuts and bolts not falling off? Why are planes not falling out of the sky more? Because humans error, right? We make mistakes. How is it that there are not more crashes? Well, there used to be. Look at the history of aviation, man, there was a lot of crashes. But how is it now such a safe means of transportation? Systems built upon redundancy, and systems and redundancy that were built upon the failures of the past, right? So if you talk to a airline mechanic or any aviation mechanic, you can ask them this. I've got friends in this field, I've got family in this field. There is a chain of custody, a chain of care of who touched what on every airplane. So if this part fails, we know Bob was the last guy to touch it. We know where that part came from that he put on. We know when that part was made. We know where that part was made. We know how long that part probably sat on a shelf, even up to and including marking the tools that are used, because if the tool's found in the airplane, we know Bob left that ratchet rattling around where it shouldn't be. Those are systems, and those systems have come to be because of failures. Now, I'm going to bring this full circle really quick to the firearms, but I want to wrap our head around it. To me, it's excellent that we can book an airline ticket. Maybe we're late, maybe we're delayed. Who cares? We're flying to the edge of space at almost the speed of sound while munching on snacks and watching movies. Just get me there. And that level of reliability is built on and predicated upon repeatable systems. And those systems often take into account the concept of human error. There are organizations like Force Science Institute, for one, of which I am a graduate, that look at some of this information. Fascinating stuff. So how do we apply this to a pistol? Well, just this day I had a comment on the YouTube. Now, first of all, don't be like, Mick, don't read the comments. This is communication. These are things that we learn from each other. So there's a comment, and this is a pushback that I get often, where somebody says, why are we teaching to put our finger in the chamber when we empty a gun? Well, we're not teaching to put our finger in the chamber when we empty a gun. We're teaching to put your finger in the chamber if you can't visually verify it. So bear with me now. Let's unload my gun. This gun is loaded. There is nobody in this direction of the office. I'm safe to do this. So I'm going to present my pistol. My finger is high off the trigger. I'm already building a system. I used a good draw stroke, part of my system. I'm going to remove the feed, remove the source of ammunition. On the firing line, I say store it on your body. So on the firing line, I would say remove the source of ammunition, store it on your body. So I'm going to put it in my pocket. I'm going to say cycle, cycle, lock the slide to the rear. Cycle, I don't need to do it again. I watch that round pop right out. I would then say visually, and if needed, physically inspect the chamber magwell. Look away. Look back. Now, whatever you need to do, any kind of administrative function, cleaning, maintenance, etc., go ahead and do that. Or if the gun's getting put away, slide forward, hammer down, thumb check, recover to the holster or the bag or whatever. That is a system. This person in this video is not made because of this person's comment. This stuff comes up enough that it's worth talking about. This person says, well, for me, I cycle 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and then I point the gun in a safe direction and I pull the trigger. And if there's a round in the chamber, we know it's empty. Well, let's think about the logic or lack of logic there. You're relying on potentially firing your gun into your house, into your car, into somewhere that it might not be a good idea to do so. The other object here is that perhaps you are needing to do this in a place where you can't fire your gun. Maybe you are in a situation where the unloading of the gun is very important for a safety concern. Discharging a gun, maybe, I don't know, as you're going into a courthouse and you're stowing the gun in your car, could be a pretty bad thing for your trip to the courthouse, just as a for example. Systems. So how do I load this gun? Lock the slide to the rear. Retrieve the source of ammunition. Cant the magazine well inboard, and this is just this gun. Seat, lock, tug. Forcefully action the slide. For me, I am going to press check. Once I've done so, I'm going to ensure that that gun is in battery. I'm going to ensure that my finger is high off the trigger. I'm going to expose my holster, and I'm going to look that gun in. And in this case, I'm going to push my pelvis out, so if that gun negligently or accidentally discharged, it would shoot out away from my feet. I'm also only pointing my gun at anything that I'm willing to shoot, kill, or destroy. There's a trade-off for everything. Systems. So how can you apply this to all of your training? Check this out. Do you believe that you are the exact person, shooter, protector that you created? Do you believe that? I don't mean you created yourself like God created you or something like that. I mean all the habits that you have, you created. Some of them were started by mom and dad or coworkers or other people, but you make choices. Can you agree with that? Show of hands again. You guys are like, I'm by myself, but I'm raising my hand. It's okay. We're immersing ourselves in the training. If you can agree that everything that you are and were is the sum of your choices, then we can choose to make new choices. So check this out. What's my goal? Well, my goal with this gun is to have it on me, be capable with it, be efficient, accurate, deadly if need be, although I don't seek to kill anybody, only to stop them. But I need to be able to deploy it whenever, wherever I may need it for righteous reasons. So my training should support that. So ask yourself, as you buy new gear, as you're working through some drills, does this support the system, my system, Mick's system, your system? Does it support the system that I need, that I must have to win in violence? The system that I will rely on to my last breath. My friend Jared Reston likes to say, I'll never know if I lost a life or death fight. I'll never know I lost it. What he's saying is he'll die in the struggle to win. Is the system that you've created something that you're willing to bet your life and your family's life on? So ask yourself, Does this thing support the outcome that I want? If the answer is yes, thresh it out in training. If it can be easily knocked off kilter, if you can easily fail, if you can easily find holes in whatever the thing is you're training, then maybe it's not something that you should rely on, right? Where do you gather data? So where did the airline industry gather data? There's a reason that every time there's a crash, the FAA comes in and combs through everything. And it's not just to find out what went wrong. It's to find out what went wrong so that we can fix it so it doesn't happen next time. There's a reason that people like me have gone and trained with dozens and dozens and dozens of excellent people that have spent years developing a craft. You'll find this thing may work, but this thing works way better. The point of this video is not do A, B, and C. It's develop A, B, and C based on the totality of your life, of your goals, of whatever it is you need. So there's an old saying that the mission dictates the tactics, the gear, the strategy, right? If I'm trying to walk from here to 10 miles that way and it's 90 degrees and it's a desert, I'm going to need different gear in training than I would if it was 50 degrees below zero. I'm going to need different gear in training if it's a 100-mile walk versus a 5-mile walk. I can get away with probably no water for 5 miles in the desert. I'm going to be screwed without water for that 100-mile walk. So we need to start to really thresh out what is our goal. How do I build this system? And then in training, you test or validate the system. If I'm on a square range and I am just shooting targets over and over again, yet I have no threat of force against me or nothing to cause me a disruption, how do I know if my system is valid? How do I know if my system is valid if I only train in good lighting conditions, in good weather, when I feel good? Do I ever train when I'm tired, when I'm wore out? Do I ever train with the target farther away? Do I ever train with some type of outside force pushing or acting on my body? Safely, of course. These are all questions that one must ask themselves. So, purpose of this video, to wrap it up, dig into the aviation industry. Dig into the why and the how of the systems that are developed to keep planes aloft. And think about how you can apply that same mindset, that same methodology to the training that you use to save your life. Because in the end, the reason that we're doing all of this is to win in violence, to continue living because we dig living. I'll add one more thing. Take care of yourself. It is important that you are healthy, happy. Are you getting enough sleep? This might sound comical to some of you, but the younger me was that guy like, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Fuck that. I will sleep 8 to 9 hours tonight and the next night and the next night. It is super important for your brain. These phones are amazing devices that allow us so much activity. Shut them off once in a while. Disconnect, close your eyes and rest. In that, another aviation ideology here. There's a reason that pilots don't get to just fly and fly and fly. The same reason truck drivers don't get to just drive and drive and drive. We humans burn out. We make poor choices when tired. Think about the systems that you are ingraining into you. Think about how you approach them. Something as simple as how you clear a gun matters. Mickey with CarryTrainer.com, Drew at the editing desk. We wish you well. Don't be dickheads. Build a system that supports the outcome that you want. Live well, live long. Don't be dickheads. Tell somebody you love them. I sure as shit love you. That guy loves you too.